Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you.
Thanks for joining.
Oh, thank you for the invitation. This is everybody. Let me get my volume going on here. Everybody loves to talk about their car.
Well, to be honest, I've been wanting to do this for such a long time, and we were planning to do it at all the shows over the summer. And now they've all had to be postponed and cancelled. And I just thought, we can still do this.
Sure, that's
Cheer
right.
everyone up a
Yeah,
bit.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
basically, you talk, and I'm gonna ask you a few questions if you run out of things to talk about.
Okay, that sounds good.
So you've got a '78 Bentley T2 saloon.
Correct. I have two cars. That's the one I use the most. The other one is a '71 Corniche fixed head coupe or coupe, I guess if you want to say that properly. You know.
Uh-huh. And what
Um,
are their names? They have names?
No, they don't have the name. They don't have names. I know. I know. They should have names, but I guess if you had to give, they just don't have a name. I don't know.
Oh my goodness, you're the first person I've known that hasn't got a little nickname.
No, I don't have a. I don't have a name. I mean, I guess if you had to give one, although I don't call it this, the Bentley, I guess you could call it DuPont, um, because its original owner was one of the DuPonts, and of course there's thousands of DuPonts, but she was the granddaughter of the DuPont that perfected the gunpowder recipe back in the 1800s. So, and
I think
apparently,
they've all got a story, haven't they?
it's pretty interesting in the sense, and I received the information from one of the previous owners who had done research with the family, and he said he had spoken to, I guess, her grandchildren, and they had said that she had ordered all of her Bentleys in this particular color, and the name of the color is called blue gray, and it's an unusual color. When I first got it, I didn't really, well, it wasn't my favorite because it's a very kind of a sky bluish color, but it's really grown on me, and it's what's curious over the years is that it receives quite a bit of compliments. And I think it's kind of a trend in the times. We're seeing a lot more pastels come in the marketplace where we didn't see them as much 10 years ago and 15 years ago. And I've owned the car for 10 years now. Good.
So 10 years you've had DuPont.
Hmm. I guess
And
we can call it that.
that's
And,
you
and,
know.
and, and I'll tell you, if you had to say, I've never really gotten into calling cars names and things like that, or he, she's. But if I had to, I would definitely say it's a girl, and then its name would be DuPont. But apparently, the original owner, her name was Esther. She ordered all of her Bentleys this color
Uh-huh. Well,
over
we'll
the.
need to see the color, so you'll have to send the photos or
I will. I will. Yeah. Apparently, and I talked to a person who was in sales in the UK back in the '70s, and he said that it was a very popular color in the UK, but it just didn't make it over this way. So anyway, for what
Okay.
that.
And how long have you been a Bentley and Rolls-Royce enthusiast?
Wow. That's a kind of a two-part answer, and what I mean by that is the I've been an enthusiast since I was in high school, and that story goes back to when I was in high school. My brother and we had a job parking cars. I was, as we call them, a valet. Over there, valet was detailing, so we lived in the Washington D.C. area, and so we parked cars at country clubs and fine restaurants. And there was this particular restaurant in downtown Georgetown, Washington D.C., and this couple had a early '70s Silver Shadow, and that was the first time I ever driven one, and I have to admit that every time that car would come in, I'd look at my brother and say, "I'm going to be a while with this one," and I would and I would toy around Georgetown and drive a few extra blocks to find a space. But it was then and there that I was like, "What an awesome car!" And it's just so unique. And I've always been a very big car type of a person. When I was in high school, I had two cars. I had three cars actually, but I had a Buick Riviera and I had a Cadillac convertible, which I had in high school, and them both. So I've always been a person of multiple vehicles at one time. So, but that's when I first did it, and then I joined the Rolls-Royce Club in 2004. And what's interesting is a common evolution a lot of Rolls-Royce and Bentley owners have is that we seem to have gone through quite a few cars. And
Uh-huh.
what I mean by that is, and I don't want to call them pseudo luxury cars, but what I mean by that is, you know, I did Cadillacs for years, and I did Lincolns for years, and I got into some European cars a little bit, some Mercedes, but for the most part, Cadillacs and Lincolns, which, you know, in the 60s and 70s, they were still very nice cars. They really were. And then you know, the Rolls or the Bentley is just it's just different.
Uh-huh.
It's I hate to use the cliche, it's an experience, but it is an experience. It really is.
I feel the
And
same with you. And
yeah,
is it your everyday car or just for
no,
special occasions?
no, I have 7 or 8 cars, and I'm in the process of selling some because the time is it. But no, my everyday car is, it's probably embarrassing to mention, is just a brand X Ford Explorer, which is very utilitarian. It's good. However, my Bentley, I probably drive 1,000 miles a year, and I drive it often, and you know, probably one of the best things about the car is also probably some people might count as a negative, and what I mean by that is I've always been a person who drives my cars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an owner. I'm a technician by trade.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a college automotive teacher, and so I know how to fix them. People where I don't know how to fix them or certain things or need lessons, I ask people who know more than me, and get them taken care of, get those things fixed. But I try to drive as much as possible. It has some nicks and chips and things like that, at the same time, it can be enjoyed. I don't have a problem leaving it with a valet who was myself at my age of 16 years old and saying, take it on the block if you want to.
Oh,
Um,
great.
because I truly believe that being passionate about these cars is the sharing with them,
Mhm.
and not the hoarding of them, and or being so protective of something, as special as they are. They really, and I don't want to discount them, they're really just a car. All of our things are just things. And I feel very blessed that I've had the skills to be able to buy one, own one, maintain one,
Mhm.
and enjoy it. And I'm happy to go to car shows and show it to people, or even bring it to my students, and explain to them that this is a really good, fun part of life that anyone can enjoy.
Are there any more projects on the coming up for DuPont? Have you got anything you'd love to do for her?
Well, being a Shadow series car, there's always something to do. Um,
If you had unlimited credit at Intro Car, what would be next?
um, let's think. Always something in the suspension or brake department these cars need, this particular series. So things on the list, I got a typical clunk in the back. So the dampers need to be taken out and rebushed. I actually have the bushings here. I already purchased them from Intro Car, and I just need to find the time to do it.
You might
And
have a lot of time over the next few weeks.
I have a lot of time, although right now, unfortunately, I'm in the process of transitioning my classes to online.
Right.
And so I'm spending a lot of time doing that. How I'm going to teach automotive online, the theory isn't a problem, but the hands-on is very difficult.
Mhm.
So, but no, I do have time. That job would require a hoist to really do it easily, I think. So we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have another quick question.
Yes.
Has there been kind of one long journey that you've done with DuPont that kind of has been an adventure for the pair of you?
Yes, and just try to put it simple. Most of the cars that I buy, because of I have the ability to repair, are almost like they're rescues. It's like I always kind of joke that I'm the guy who rescues old cars like people rescue old animals and pets. And so this car was, I actually purchased this car at a lien sale from a shop in Burbank where the owner was going closing the shop, bankrupt, and he was getting divorced at the same time. So he had a customer that couldn't pay the bill. He was trying to sell the car, and so it's been a journey because the car, although it had a very early life, like a lot of these cars, had a good life early on, like a lot of these cars, it had fallen in some bad hands through some subsequent owners, and therefore a lot of things need to be undone and corrected on the car. So it's been a journey in that respect. So you know, it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. I take it to shows. It places second or third, and that's not because I'm, you know, even first a couple times, and I wasn't the only car. So it because we know that, you know, but it scored over 90 points in a few shows, and that's sort of how I judge the car. It's a high 80s, low 90s car. To me, that's great. You know, and I have a lot of fun with it.
That's amazing. I love that story. You're a rescuer of cars.
Yeah, that's right.
Would you ever sell DuPont?
Oh, that's interesting. You know, I don't want to say everything has a shelf life, but typically I've had quite a few cars that I've had for a short period of time. For example, I had a Corniche drop head for a year and a half, and a Camargue for about a year, and a 95 Flying Spur for about a year. And so I've had a few cars that didn't, and usually those I sold because, well, let's just simply put, they were rescues also, and it just made sense to sell them, put them up and move on. This is a self-sustaining hobby for a lot of us, you know, where we buy something and we have some fun with it, and then we move on, maybe make a nice tidy profit, and then go on to the next one. So to sum it up, every time I think of selling the car, and I've thought about it many times, it's really, the answer just comes about as a no. And the reason why is because it really fits my lifestyle and how I like my cars to be. It's not too perfect. I don't have so much money invested in it where I feel like I should sell it. There's always something else I own that I could sell. And that's it. So it's in a very safe place. You know, sometimes the nicest car, you know, a lot of us will say, you know what, it'd be nice to keep the car, but I could do other things with the money. And I think a lot of us in this hobby are like that. You know, a lot of people think the Rolls-Royce and Bentley Club are only the very, very wealthy and affluent. And there's a lot of them like that in this. But at the same time, there's a lot of us that's just in it for the love of the car, and we do whatever we can to get involved with the brand and own one and enjoy it. And so I'm all for anybody get into it any way you can, and because it really is just a great mark to be a part of.
So listen, I would love it if you could follow up with a little tour around the car, even if it's just a video that you send me. I'll add it to the end of this chat. But yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm hoping a ton more owners come forward and want to tell me about their cars too.
One of the Camargues I used to own, this is an interesting story, and I'll be very brief. I sold it to a dealer, and then he sold it to a guy in Germany, and then he tracked me down, and it turned out I still had the books and records on the car, and for some reason they didn't go with the car. So he called me, and we were talking, and I said he was visiting in the States, and we met for dinner, and I surprised him with the books.
That's amazing. I love that story.
And he looked at me, and I don't want to say he almost cried, but he picked out one of the books out of the series that comes with the car. And he goes, you know, I paid $600 for one of these from a guy on eBay. I go, you know, they should have gone with the car, and here they are. You own the car. And because lots of times those books don't stay with the car. Even if they do go to a dealer, the dealer will then part them out because it was about $2,000 worth of books to the right guy.
Well, that actually gave me goosebumps, that story. So
Pardon me?
That gave me goosebumps, that did.
It really does, because what's interesting is that he has become a good friend of mine. And I was in Germany over the summer and visited him in Munich, and we spent the day with him and his family. And it was just, we've just become very, very good friends now. And so all because of that. It's strange. It's very happy, but it's also sad at the same time. What's very sad is that the entire expectation was that he didn't expect anybody to give him the books. He expected, you know, he goes, I would think you would sort of sell these to me. I go, no, they go with the car. They're yours, you know? So, you know, again, that's part of the passion that I'm talking about, where you help other people out. And it's true with many, many car clubs, just not ours, but that's sort of like the thread that runs between a lot of people that are into old cars and the clubs. And like they say, it's not about the cars, it's about the friends you make, you know, and there's a lot of truth to that. So anyway, I'll let you go.